name is Ronald Burnette Jr., independent candidate for the state of Alabama 2026 gubernatorial election. I wanted to talk with you all tonight about a couple of things, but one thing in particular about how someone would have to vote for me in order for me to win this election and go to Montgomery and provide good nonpartisan leadership and do the best I can to make sure that I continue to have concern for underlying issues that our state has been facing. And we still have many more challenges. But however, in order for me to make the ballot, I have to have 42,000 signatures. If I can't get to 42,000 signatures, you still can vote for me. You will have to write in my name, and it will have to be spelled correctly. During the upcoming weeks, I will be posting more material and charts and graphs of how the ballot should look and how to vote for me. One thing, I love Alabama and I love the people of Alabama. I've been here for over 35 years now. I've worked, I've educated, and I've taught in the trades. I've helped people procure business, and I've tried to teach business management in the trades. That being said, me just coming into this and being new to this, I want to say that Alabama has some of the best educators in the world that I've seen. However, I've seen how they have been held back. Their wages are low, and security has been an issue in our public school system. And those are some of the things that I want to address. Also, DHR. Several issues have came to my attention with DHR and the prison system. And as I sit back and I look, and I've looked around and I've looked at some of the stakeholders, a lot of the candidates' questions, and a lot of times they don't know, and sometimes I probably don't know. It might be some things that I do know. These a lot of things have been personal, and they shouldn't be ignored. And that's why I believe in things like data, verifiable data, independent, commissions with community engagement, community leaders. And, some will call it big government or government expansion. But now we're at a point to where we definitely, us politicians, we need to be held accountable. We need to know how we're doing. This is my first time running. And I've seen things like 4 times and 2 times and 3 times. Maybe people need to know why they're losing. Why are they losing? And economic diversification is what I came in here on. New jobs, different jobs, and everybody's saying that we want to give you new jobs, and we got to get the people here. We have to get these companies here. I looked at the budget for 2025, and it was $9 billion, I believe, that went into the education system, and $3 billion or so to run the government, with infrastructure and keeping all of that up. It's just some gaps in there. Where did this go? Where did this go for education purposes. Okay, sure, we can design a policy, which I would do that also. I might do education, or I might put in, let's say, 9 billion, like they did, 9 billion in education. Okay, but I know we got a problem with healthcare, and so somewhere in the education budget, I would have to design and try to design policy that targets healthcare. Now, if they done that, I could understand that. But the page and the data, it lacks a lot of transparency where the funds have been going. And I think, quite honestly, I believe a lot of the funds have been going around. When I mean going around, it doesn't go into the underdeserving areas in the rural areas or in the inner cities. And see, the thing about it, I think that some of these funds need to go and be allocated towards community leaders who open up their doors to our young people and into the families in those communities and help educate them. They need the materials. They need materials on, you know, gun control, violence, on violence, medical, medical training. A lot of it has been going around, but the policy can be directed to that. But we have to get the communities involved in politics, because the citizens are the ones that I've been seeing have a whole lot to say about why everybody about the groceries, especially like that, why they keep going up. Now everybody wants to talk about rent. But with the grocery thing, it's just like, I look and I say farmers, they get benefits, but I don't think that they're getting the proper benefits to expand, in food production and commerce. They're not getting those same opportunities and incentives. And then also, we have to draw a line on clean energy and what Alabama needs. Alabama needs the coal industry. We're going to have to learn how to clean our coal and store our coal more properly. But we have to have it. Natural gas is a must. But we can gradually go to renewable energy with solar and wind. But these underlying issues it's a big deal to me. And trying to figure out how to get to the root cause of it. But it's going to take the citizens, I believe, for us to get clarity and to have them have a commission that they choose. And they would check and balance all politicians. At the end of the year or so, a report will come out on how you are doing. Because just like right now with this video, I could probably be sucking wind because I'm not polished. But however, I will at least know how if I may have lost the race because I'm not polished, I would know that. We need to be checked and balanced for stuff that we tell you we're going to do. That'll keep us on our toes. I don't mind you keeping me on my toes. I'm right here in it with you. And again, like I said, in order to vote for me, in order for me to get on the ballot, I need 42,000 signatures. And if I don't get those 42,000 signatures, you could write me in, and I'll be sending out materials and posting materials explaining how I could be written in. And I hope that I could, I want to be your governor. And I want to help Alabama. and I want to see Alabama keep on growing. It's Alabama first. Just like, is Alabama first? For me, it is. I mean, just like a lot of them talk about Medicaid expansion, but they're not telling you the rules of Medicaid expansion. Alabama needs its own sovereign healthcare system. And it could be allocated in that budget. And we need to stop being afraid of private partnerships, because that can help us build our infrastructure. That electronic bus system needs to be in rural areas, and that's a big thing for me. But I don't want to jump around too much, but when we talk about the education, okay, we were at 45. The Governor Ivy, she allotted a great deal of funds to education, and she brought it up. And I think it's great, 35. But this math, because Alabama needs, STEM and project-based learning for sure. And I have a couple of programs, that will coordinate with public school systems. Most of those underdeserving areas, and they lack funds and stuff like that. And it's a program called YPAP, and it has 3 bodies to it. And that would be the Youth Medical Association, the Youth Trade Association, and the Youth Police Association, that will be implemented into the high school system for 11th and 12th graders. And they will get a stipend of about $500 a month. And they will coordinate and work with, again, it could be a ROTC program in one of our universities or trade schools or a police academy, hopefully. And this is going to cause, what it's going to cause is great civic engagement. And we can learn how to live with each other. And then we will have better safety, because it will be a larger pool to choose from of policemen in Alabama. But in order to support, our manufacturing and stuff, here I get back to that math. We're going to have jobs. Those are what I call entry-level jobs. Like when you first go into a manufacturing plant and you're folding boxes, and it's a good job. It's a job because you're making income and you're honest and everything like that, and you're trying to make it. I've been inside there. I know. We're crying out loud, I'm still a plumber. I crawl up underneath houses. But anyway, to say this is that those jobs would typically pay, I believe, if I went into a factory, probably about $15 per hour. And so if a high schooler, someone in high school, 11th or 12th grader, could make that, that $500 a month. All right, the money is going back into the economy. They're going to spend it back in the economy. The economy is going to build up as long as they're spending. So that gives us a chance for people that are older, like in the trade schools and colleges, and people that are older in their 30s or whatever, they could take and be studying and have and preparing themselves for even a higher tier of pay on a higher level. And so that should bring you in the range of about $20 to $25 per hour. And this is where that living wage comes in. And I believe that if we're putting that kind of money back into the economy, I believe everything will boost up. I believe even fast food should boost up. But we have nothing We don't have enough right now. And it's because of, like, look at Alabama. A lot of the investors and a lot of the companies, they'll come here a little bit and they'll put a little company here and there and all that. And we need that. We need small businesses here. We need them bad, and we need to give them some incentives and make sure that they get some tax breaks. Small businesses, but we all can open them here. That electronic bus system, that factory, I want it right here. And I'm not going to ignore, like, those hospitals have been closed, and medical facilities in the rural areas have been closed. But not only have they been closed in rural areas, I rode around and I seen one that has been open here for years where we stay at, and it was closed down. It was closed down. It used to be called Waterford Place, and I said, well, this is serious. And I was like, where did all the people go? And so, that's a serious thing. Those are the things that are going on, these high prices. Again, if we look out for our farmers, give them more incentives, we can cut out the middleman. We can cut out the big companies and the middleman so that we can have food to eat at a reasonable and an affordable price. That's what I believe. We need to do away. I know this sounds broad, and I know you might not like it. The state income tax, it needs to go. You need a state lottery for the type of school system that needs to be designed in Alabama. You need the state lottery. Also, all this stuff for the state, the taxes on it is going to be paying these independent commissions for checks and balances and accountability. Legislation, those crimes immediately. I'm going to do, as far as cannabis, immediately the first thing I'm doing, I'm going to try to push legislation to expunge the record, especially if it's not non-valid. I'm telling you everything about me right now tonight. But I'm going to start going live so you can pick me apart like you did other candidates. I'm just telling you a little bit. Okay, cannabis, it has to be passed. It's been too many people, well, it's been people in my life that I've seen suffer, And just bottom line, they needed it. My dad was a veteran, Vietnam War veteran. And it used to calm him down. And with his issues, PTSD, it has to be passed. Cancer patients. I know him, it means a lot to me because I've had family members, So, and that's about it. But